Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something clicked.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
So do you have anything that's coming up already?
Well, I was just kind of I was pretty relaxed, actually.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really bothered by anything. I was noticing kind of some interesting sensation in kind of my lower back. And it felt like my legs were kind of connecting to my lower back. I felt that connection.
Yeah. Yeah, getting grounded.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what we're going to be looking for is, anything you've been dealing with, or a lot of times people find that the easiest place to start is with this kind of inner critic, because we all sort of have an inner critic. That's one part that sometimes people like to get to, because it won't be too vulnerable or too we won't have to go too deep. But yeah, anything that's been bugging you, or something you're dealing with lately.
One thing I've been trying to overcome is I feel like my hands and my feet sweat too much, and I'd like to get over that. I know that's something that a lot of people have a problem with, and I've been looking it up a little bit, and I know they call it hyperhidrodosis.
Yeah.
And I know it's all mental. I think it's all mental, because when I'm totally relaxed and I'm just not thinking about it, I'm never sweating like that. My hands and feet are never sweating. But then when I think about it and I remember that, oh yeah, my hands and my feet sweat sometimes, immediately they start sweating.
Yeah, I think I have that too. And I also have not really figured it out. But yeah, I have that too. And when it gets really cold, then they get really cold because they've been sweating, and then it's double awful. I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
Exactly. It's like a cold sweat.
Yeah. All right. So that's a fine thing to try to focus in on. If that's something you want to get to know you want to get to know a little better, try to figure out a little bit. We can go there.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So when you're having that feeling, and obviously you have the the external sensation of the hands and feet sweating. But can you just turn inward and look for any other sensation in or around your body that comes up around that when your hands and feet start sweating?
Yeah. So I noticed that my hands and my feet at the same time, when they start sweating, I kind of feel a pulse inside of my hands and my feet. And it's like you kind of feel contractions, like pulse contractions that kind of go along with the sweating.
Okay. Yeah. And okay, so just keep like turning inward and looking for any, just continue looking for any kind of elaboration or any other description or sensation that you're able to find that goes along with that. And maybe you don't find any others, but can you hear that thunder? Jeez.
Yeah, I hear that.
Hopefully a tree doesn't fall on me, but we'll see.
I know, right?
So yeah. Just see if you can pick up any other details about what it feels like in and around your body. You have the pulsing, you have a pulse, you have the hands and feet sweating. Is there any other energy or direction or color or vibe or anything else that comes up when you feel like you're in that space?
Yeah, I'm noticing that my shoulders feel a little tense also at those moments, kind of right behind I would say on the trapezius muscle, kind of in between the neck and the shoulder. I feel a little bit of tension there at the same time.
Okay. So we're going to take all those sensations and try to view them as a part. They're a part of you. And so you're turning towards this part like it's a separate entity, if you can. And sometimes people even will kind of personify it, and they'll say, okay, yeah, there's that part. It has this face, it has this, or it looks like an animal or something. And, I'm not going to push you to do any of that, but just see if you can kind of, in any way you can, to deepen your access to that part. And when you're able to do that, to whatever degree, then the next step is to just ask it, just inside in your mind, ask it what it wants you to know, and just wait for the answer. Don't try to think of an answer.
Okay. Should I tell you if an answer comes to mind?
Yeah.
All right, I just got an answer.
Okay.
It was pretty unexpected and interesting to me.
Okay.
So the answer that I got is that I think it wants me to know that I'm a human, and being a human can be messy, and it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So you don't have to strive for perfection, and you can accept that being a human involves some kinds of imperfections. And it's like, maybe we have sweat pouring out of us, but it's like, that's just part of being a human.
Okay. That's great. So, how would you say that you feel toward this part that causes these sensations in you? How do you feel towards it?
I would say I would like for it to go away, but I would also like to accept it at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense, right? Like to want it to go away if it's uncomfortable. And so in this kind of parts work, we're going to basically call everything a part. So we're going to say that there's a part of you that wants it to go away. And if you can, see if you can ask that part of you that wants it to go away. See if you can ask that part to give you a little space while you continue getting to know it. While you continue getting to know this part that causes the sweating.
Okay, so I'm basically asking this part that wants it to go away to just chill and just kind of let me accept it and let me get to know it better, right?
Even if just for 5 minutes in this conversation, then it can come back in, but just see if it'll give you a little space in this conversation and just see how it reacts.
Okay. Should I let you know when it? Okay. It says, okay, go for it.
All right. Great. All right. So see if you can ask this part that causes this sweating sensation, this tension in the shoulders. What is it afraid will happen if it doesn't cause that sensation?
All right. I'll just wait for an answer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll let you know when I got one. The answer is it would feel weird.
Yeah?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? It's like it would feel weird if it wasn't doing that.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what does it have more to say? Like what? I wonder what kind of what would be bad about that? What would be?
Yeah, let's find out.
Yeah, ask it what would be bad.
I'll listen. I'll ask it, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know when it gives me an answer.
All right.
I think I would feel. It's like I would feel too good. It's like it doesn't. It's like I have something that says you have to. I think this is something I've been dealing with kind of my whole life, and it's kind of coming up right now. And it says you kind of have to suffer. I think it's been kind of, kind of ingrained in me. Something telling me that I have to suffer. I can't just feel perfect. I have to suffer a little bit. It's kind of telling me it would be weird if I didn't feel this because then I wouldn't be suffering.
Yeah, you'd feel too good.
Yeah, and it's like it would be too good to be true.
Yeah. So it's like it's trying to protect you from something, and there can be problems about feeling too good. If you're feeling too confident, if you're feeling too out there, sometimes that can invite attack. Sometimes that can invite, dirty looks or whatever. And so whatever this part is trying to protect you from, even if it doesn't feel good, and even if maybe you want to feel good, it sounds like it's at least trying. It at least has good intentions to protect you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, except for the fact that I really want the place that I want to get to in my life is that I don't want to care about stuff like the dirty looks and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think maybe it's coming from the past, where in the past you feel like you have to worry about what other people think of you.
Right.
And that's kind of built into people.
That's right.
When they're children, but at this point in my life, I'm trying to get to a place where I don't care what anyone thinks of me,
right.
And I don't care whether I get dirty looks. That's
right. That's
that
what your goal
bother
is.
Me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So this is kind of a remnant of the past where it's like I shouldn't feel too good because then that'll piss other people off.
Right.
But getting over this and overcoming this is part of overcoming all the other stuff
Yeah. So,
I'm trying to overcome to get to the place where I just don't care anymore what anyone thinks.
right. So let's stay with trying to get to know it before any.
Okay.
Because it just gave you some valuable information about what it's doing, and so we're just going to try to stay with it, try to get some more information, and get to understand why it does what it does, why, when, and rather than overcoming it, we're going to try to give it a new role, give it kind of work with it is the goal, I think. But we'll just, if we can, just stay with the trying to figure it out part. And I think that a good next step is if you can show it, if you can let it know that you get it, let it know that you understand what it's trying to protect you from, and maybe even show it some compassion or some sympathy or some appreciation for doing that job, even if it doesn't feel good. You get it, and just see how it reacts to like those vibes you send it.
I like that. It actually does feel good because I'm telling it, listen, it's okay. This is something that is a remnant of your past, and it had good intentions, like you said before.
Yeah. And how does it react when you show it that?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Oh, it actually reacts in kind of an immature way.
Uh-huh.
It says, "Hey, I was just trying to help you," but that's kind of immature because that's like something a kid would say,
Yeah. Well, don't judge it. Just say, yeah, you were trying to help me, and I thank you. I appreciate you trying.
Okay.
I appreciate you trying to help me.
Okay. Okay. Let me tell it that. Give me a second to tell it that.
Okay.
It understands now. I basically told it, "Listen, I love you, thank you," and now it understands, and it gets me too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the place we're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
So ask it if you were able to change what it's worried about. It's worried about you feeling too good. It's worried about you. It's told you what it's worried about. Just ask it if you were able to change that, and you could heal that. What other job would it like to do inside of you? How would it like to use its energy instead of causing this tension in the shoulders, causing this hands and feet to sweat?
All right, let me ask it that. I'll basically say, what would you like to do if you want your job to change, and instead of holding me back from feeling like I don't have any restraints, what would you like to do instead? So let me ask it that.
Yeah.
I think it just wants to retire.
Okay. So see if you can just kind of show it, just let it know that because you're the leader, and it's a part that like you could let it retire. And maybe ask for its input on what retirement would look like. Where does it want to go? Well, and you could take it there.
All right, I like that. Let me talk to it and communicate that to it. Can you repeat that really quick so I
Sure.
can focus it
Sure.
again? Okay.
So it said it wanted to retire, and you can take it there, even in just kind of a fantasy. You can ask it what retirement looks like. Where does it want to go? And
Okay.
if it wants to go lay on the beach, you can just do that in your imagination and just say, okay, here, you're on the beach.
Okay. I'll ask it what retirement looks like for it. I think it actually just wants to. I think it just wants to die and be burnt into ashes. Believe it or
not. Okay. Some parts have an affinity for fire. Yeah, there's something that there's part of it that it wants to get. It might have its own parts, and it might want to just unburden them and throw them in a fire. That comes up.
It's not so much fire. It's more thinking about the ashes, like the dust part. It wants to be turned into kind of dirt,
Yeah.
Not so much. It doesn't care so much how it gets to that. It just more wants to get to that.
It's very interesting. And I would also just make sure you're letting it know that. You said a minute ago that you loved it, and so our goal isn't to annihilate it. It does. It is part of you. It is part of your energy, and so. I just want to make sure it knows that we don't want it to jump off a bridge, but we do want it to be comfortable. So if that's turned into dirt, that's fine. That might be how it feels comfortable.
Yeah, let me address that. Let me make sure I'm giving it enough compassion and not just trying to kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't want me to just kill it. It wants me to treat it kindly because it deserves to be appreciated.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I treat it that way. So I need to focus for a little bit and make sure I do that.
Yeah. And we can ask it other questions for what that looks like too.
Yeah, let me keep asking it what it wants.
Yeah.
And just let me just make sure I know exactly what it wants.
That's right.
I'm not sure I know exactly what it wants yet. I might have to do some homework and figure this out later.
Absolutely. And, often, if this is your first time talking to this part, or at least in a long time or in this way, it might take kind of a regular check-in. So a lot of times what's kind of the common recommendation is like, say hi to this part every day even for a minute, just how you doing? What can I do for you? Kind of looking out for it. Now that you've established this kind of direct access, I do have one other question for it, which is always a fun one. Ask it how old it thinks you are. And just wait.
Yeah. I remember this one from the YouTube video and I liked it. When I saw that on the YouTube video, I liked that one a lot. All right, let me ask it that.
Yeah, just wait for the answer.
All right. It's giving me two answers right now. It's being kind of funky. Yeah. It's saying, I think you're either 5 or 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not. I'm older than that. I'm older than 5 or 18. Yeah. Obviously.
Let it know that. Let it know. Just update it with your real age, and let it know that you're not 5 and 18 anymore. And maybe those were times when it really needed to do something for you.
Oh my gosh! I just realized something. so 5 is when I started kindergarten, and 18 is when I started college. So maybe those are times when I felt like I had to act a certain way to make sure I didn't piss people off or something.
Makes sense to me. And that part had to do its job to protect you.
Yeah.
From feeling too good, from being too out there.
Yeah, which was limiting for me, because if I didn't feel like I had to limit myself when I was starting kindergarten or starting college, then maybe I would have made more friends or something. Yeah. Maybe I would have had a better social life in those times.
Yeah. Or maybe,
I mean, I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, or maybe it did exactly what it needed to do at the time, and maybe it really saved your butt at those times. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Maybe everything happened the way that it had to happen, and maybe that was all just part of how my destiny unfolded.
Yeah. But on the same hand, maybe it's not serving you anymore, and so that's why you can say, "Look, I'm older now. Thank you for your service. That I appreciate that, and I still want to be able to work with you." Kind of mindset.
Exactly, it's not serving me anymore. Yeah. It's and should I tell you the thing that brought this to mind lately?
Sure.
That showed me why it doesn't serve me anymore?
Sure.
Okay, so I was on a date, and I was with this woman who wanted to hold my hand, and so we were holding hands, and I noticed how my hand was getting sweaty, and I was thinking, there's no reason my hand should be getting sweaty right now.
Oh.
I mean, and that used to happen back when I was younger, and I would be on dates with past ladies that I was dating before. Yeah. And my hands would sweat when I was holding hands with them. And back then I was wondering why my hands were sweating. And sometimes they even comment on it, and they say, hey, your hands are really sweaty and stuff like that. And it always kind of bothered me a little bit when they would say that, because I would think to myself, I wish my hands weren't sweating. And, I mean, yeah. So now it happened again recently, and I was thinking, all right, I think at this point, it's like, there's no reason for this. I don't think my hands need to be sweating anymore. I think it's all mental. So let's really address this, and let's figure out what's going on there.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that we're addressing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it had a job to do. And at 5, at 18, at various parts of your life. And that's a good thing. So the last question, I guess, would be, what you were already asking it just one more time, is kind of, what does it need from you in the future?
That seems like a tough one. Let me think. Let me ask it, Dad, and see if it answers it right now. Okay, one thing is it needs me to appreciate it. Yeah. Well, let me see what else it wants.
That's a pretty big one.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I could ask it why I should appreciate it, and it could tell me.
I would maybe suggest against that, because I think that we want to come from a place where we already appreciate all the parts of us. Even if it doesn't feel like that, it's kind of like, we don't want to make it have to defend its existence.
Okay.
We want to get to know it and come to appreciate it naturally,
But maybe I should ask myself why I should appreciate it, so that I could, instead of asking it to defend itself, maybe I should ask myself to defend it.
Yeah, I can think of some other ways to do that. I mean, I think you're going down the right path of you want these answers, and that makes sense. There's some other ways that I could think to do that. Again, I think that this part is a protector. It's protecting you from something that was humiliating or hurtful, or something that it needed to protect you from. And so the kind of next level, the deeper layer, which we won't go into in this call necessarily, but we could in a future call, would be to figure out what that pain is, what that hurt or that humiliation or what it's protecting, and then coming to know that other part. Because maybe there were experiences when you were 5, when you were 18 that were really painful, and this part had to show up and say, okay, we need to avoid that. So in that way, we come to appreciate it just by understanding why it showed up and how long it's been doing this job.
So what was the last question again, so that I can ponder that further?
Yeah, just ask it what you can do for it in the future.
Okay, what I can do for it in the future. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that. I'll definitely ask it that.
Okay.
And I'll see what it says.
Okay.
Maybe it wants me to remember it and because I think that was the answer that just came to mind, is that I think it wants me to remember it and know that it helped me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wants to be validated. It wants to be seen like everybody does. And maybe that's why it's having to work so hard, because it's not being validated, not being remembered or appreciated. So sometimes that alone kind of goes a big way to resolving it. Helping you feel better with it, and helping it feel better, and everybody feel better.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more I could pull out of this too if I just keep focusing on it.
I guarantee you there's a lot more you can pull out of it. I guarantee.
Yeah.
This is what I love doing. And the process would be like, let's say we talked a bunch more, you talked to other IFS people, you got into this. So you basically would have conversations like this where you're getting to know each of your protector parts. There's all these parts that show up, and they either make you work really hard, or they make you drink, or they make you do stuff that's kind of like, wait, I didn't really want to do that. And there's different kind of things that make us uncomfortable, and we get to know all those protectors, and maybe there's 5 of them, maybe there's more. But we also learn what it is that they are protecting. And that's usually what's called an exile, which is usually a young part, our inner 5-year-old, the things the tough lessons that we learned, and the things that hurt us, again, humiliated us, etc., as children. Then we come to know those parts too. And yeah, I mean, I've been doing it just for a few months, and I got a list of about, 11 different parts of mine that I've come to know and that I can check in on and know all about now.
That's awesome. And I bet talking to people like this kind of helps you identify those parts in yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do alone because it's hard to, because you want to respond so much. Like you felt like, explaining this or going different ways, and sometimes it's like you're in the mix with these parts, and it's nice to have somebody else who's just kind of outside and kind of sticking with the plan, sticking with this, because I didn't make this stuff up. I'm just following a script.
Right. It helps you focus and follow the framework, ask the right questions, don't go off on a tangent, kind of stick with it.
Yeah. So I don't have any more questions. I don't know if you have any other parts that are concerned or want to have anything to say about the work you did here today.
Well, let's see. I think my shoulders are saying thanks for including me in this.
Yeah.
And I think I'm feeling grateful, overall. I think, I mean, obviously I'm not I haven't gotten as deep as we can go, because we just did that. We kind of just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But I think overall, my parts are feeling grateful, and they're saying, thanks for addressing this. Thanks for getting to know yourself a little better. And I think I think they want me to continue to get to know this one part, and to keep exploring and figuring out how to understand myself better.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, thank all those parts. Thank the parts that gave you space. There was the part that didn't like that part. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and just thank them for being willing to like open up to you and share with you. There were times in that conversation where, the part is saying, well, didn't want to respond or whatever. It's like, did a lot of communicating. So just thank them, and I thank you.
Yeah, exactly, man. I thank you as well. And it's been a fun conversation. And I think after this, I'm going to just keep sitting where I am and just kind of thinking about this a little more and getting a little deeper into this. And I really appreciate your time, and it was a fun conversation.
All right. I appreciate you too. It was really nice talking with you. I'll be in touch.
All right. We will. Have a great day, James.
Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Zikri, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.